3, 2, 1, rolling. Hey everyone, and welcome to this catch-up between pals talking about the Outdoor Film Festival. I'm Cait Milberry, and I'm pretty stoked to be joined here with some pals, David Alston, Jordan Owens. Welcome to this catch-up. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. Thank you for having us. Very excited to talk about OOF.
Yeah.
Some great films.
Absolutely.
Major shout out to Carlie Dunbar for setting this up and, selecting us as panel judges, jurors on the Outdoor Film Festival for this year, for 2023. What an honor that was to get that email. I don't know about you guys, but I felt some sort of ness when I got selected as that because, I love watching them every year. I love going to wherever they're being presented. So I thought it was really cool to be selected. How about you guys?
Yeah, first time doing this, definitely an honor. And, I can't lie, like I've never done this before. And I felt a little bad judging other people's art, but it's like, hey, this is what you signed up for. This is the job. And there's so many good films. It's so hard. It's a really, really tough job.
Yeah. Last year I had a chance to do it as well. And there's also, you get a chance to learn so much about what a good documentary or a good film is as well, because you really don't think about it sometimes when you're watching stuff. You go, yeah, that was good. But when you actually have to judge, you're now looking at all these different dimensions and you're going, wow, okay, if I hadn't really thought of that before. And I know even this year, as we started judging, there was different layers of the different layers of the onion back. You're like, well, yeah, that's also important. And that's also important. So,
and to kind of circle back to what Jordan was saying, it's like you feel kind of bad judging other people's work. But I also found that it was interesting because you go in there and you don't necessarily want to judge, but you want to make sure that you can come out with a selected, few films that are going to be showcased as potential winners. But I almost found like it gave me a surge for my work ethic because it was allowing me to see places where I would have given them feedback if they had have been sitting in person, like as an advisor or someone in marketing, I would have said, hey, like maybe this editing would have made it flow a little bit better, or this could have happened. So I found it was really, selfishly great for my work ethic after watching all of the films because it gave me a lot of ideas for content creation. I don't know if it did that for you, Jordan.
Yeah, it's, in the film world, it always comes back to story. You hear this over and over again. And it was like, aha, it is story. Yeah. Everything we watched, it really, really came down to story and emotion and power. Like, did we feel something when we watched it? I don't know how you guys felt, but it was the films that I had sort of like an emotional response to that really kept me thinking about them days after.
Same.
Right. So it definitely, story is everything. There was a lot of beautifully shot films, but some that were less beautifully shot that had a more powerful
story. Yeah, I totally agree.
Those are the ones that, I tended to gravitate to anyway.
I found that those were the ones we like deliberated about the most too, right? Because it was and then we would almost go from like a 360 of opinions, and then we would all like very land on something very common about it. So I found that to be like pretty cool. I think too, for anyone wondering, if you've never been to the Outdoor Film Festival, I mean, it's a great opportunity to see such a wide array of great people who are making great content, and to also see maybe hobbies or things that you could experience in different parts of our provinces and region and in different countries as well, that maybe you've never tried. I know for me, it was pretty inspiring to see some activities that I've maybe only heard about or maybe seen on TikTok or maybe some daredevils doing or something, and really seeing the communities behind it and how great it is for mental health. And then also like the major part of it, just like being outside and incorporating a lot of what their hobbies and their skill sets are. I thought that was really cool, and it kind of inspired me to try to start doing that a little bit more with my work. Obviously, I don't want to bring a laptop or a roadcaster into the woods, but if we have to, we will. We'll call it the Bear's Den or something. Actually, I think there's like Two Bears, One Cave. That's already a podcast, but we won't go there.
Well, you're in the mecca of outdoor adventure, like here in New Brunswick. We moved out here from Ontario. We were living in Toronto, and like this is why we're here, right? There's no excuse. You can drive 5 minutes outside of the city of St. John, and you are in it. You can do any adventure sport that you want, hiking, camping, mountain bike riding, gravel bike riding, which is gravel bike riding, right, guys?
Oh yeah,
that was added to the bucket list after this.
Yeah,
after reviewing some of these films, but yeah, we are in it. I love the outdoors, so I've definitely left feeling inspired to try some new things.
Mm-hmm. What has been maybe something that you've tried since moving to New Brunswick that you'd never tried before? That's outdoors.
Stand-up paddleboarding. SUP. Yeah. I've tried that. My mom and dad, they actually moved out here as well. and they go out to Fisher Lake,
Cool.
Rockwood. Yeah, so they're out there. They were out there the other day, sending me pictures on WhatsApp, like, hey, come on out. So it's pretty cool. They're living their best life. Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting. And I mean, you're just living the dream. I'm surprised there's no carabiner clips just tied all over. Like, which peak are you climbing this weekend, David?
Well, actually, later today, I'm going to go out climbing with my son.
Oh, that's awesome.
Rock climbing. So it's true. And there's so much stuff around like this area in New Brunswick that you can do. And I mean, there's so many different reasons that you can, if you need to come up with reasons to go out and get outdoors. I remember 20 years ago, geocaching was just starting, and I started to go, I really like that, and I use that as an excuse to go plant new geocaches and find all kinds of caves and waterfalls and that kind of thing. And now for me, I'm actually using this website called iNaturalist and category logging every time I have a sighting of a bug or a new plant or a tree or whatever. And anyway, there's all kinds of ways that you can get outdoors and really experience it. And then, of course, like you said, mental health, feeling relaxed, forest bathing, all that kind of thing. Really, it really does just kind of like, I don't know, level you out. When you're having a stressful day and you're out in the woods and enjoying things, it really does balance life.
I think too, I mean, to go back to that point, I think if you're a really busy person, whether that's with family, work, or a mix of all, sometimes the chaos, it's really hard to take a break. And I know in some of the films, I think that was a big part of it, was mental health and really trying to get into the routine of getting outside again and really trying to immerse yourself into what that means and really grounding yourself fully. And I think that that's a pretty cool thing. And that I also, like, from the New Brunswick standpoint, there is so much to do. And I think for me, like, living uptown for a majority of my life, I also lived in Deer Island, St. Martin. So I was always just on the outskirt, right? But I always felt a little bit less anxiety when I could just go out into the more nature-centric world. And I think, for a lot of people, it is that way. That's the healing. A lot of people use the ocean. And I think getting outside is something that we all need to try to do a little bit more. And I think that was something that I really did take away from the films, because when you're out there, especially as a busy person, if you lose service, there's no way you're going to finish your website. There's no way you're going to do web coaching calls. It can wait. And I think that moment that it gives you, that aha moment for a lot of people, even if it's a little bit of anxiety trying to get back to finish the website or to get on that coaching call, I think there's a lot of merit in it. And I think, regardless of, your level of getting outside currently, just try every once in a while, even if it's just like a little walk. And for me, I've been just trying to get out with a few pals and fly kites again.
Nice.
Pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Gonna be honest, it's pretty fun. Hadn't done it since I was a kid. Been getting a bunch of new kites now, like different designs, kind of into it. And I love going to the beach, so I thought, what a cool way to try to incorporate it. So who knows? Maybe we'll have a kite group soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think just like being busy is even a better factor to get outside, because it'll only make I think my work ethic improves once I have the time to get outside and have a moment to just decompress.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed in the last year, when you think about going out, sometimes you think, oh, I've got to plan it, I've got to do this, I got to do that, right? And what I found was, if I had a web call and then had another web call, I don't know, an hour and a half from now, I'd literally just put my shoes on and head out into the woods and go for a hike. And I could hike for like a really long hike and come back refreshed, got some exercise, got into nature. And I would, in the past, I might have gone, oh, it's not enough time. I'm going to have to.
I would always do that.
Right? And you'd be like, oh, I'll go on social media, or I'll go on this, or I'll do that, or I'll check this. And yeah, you can blow away an hour and a half easily and do nothing. Or you can literally just put your shoes on and just lean into it and go. And it's amazing how much you can fit in outdoors when you just decide to make it work.
Yeah. And the quality from not just being glued for that hour and a half, puttering around till that next call or that next appointment. I think on the other side, the person reciprocating, like, can feel that energy where you're refreshed and have probably seen like a cute squirrel or something. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, my daughter and I have started going on walks, just sort of like you're describing, David. just midday, in between meetings kind of thing, but we'll go on flower searches in our neighborhood. And we live in like a residential we don't live out in the woods, right? But you'd be surprised how many wild edibles there are, how many different types of plants and vegetation. And it's amazing. She's teaching me so much about, what is edible. She knows all the names of the flowers. I'm like, where did you learn all this? But
she's on David's app.
Yeah.
She's categorizing everything. They're best friends, and she's got all the plants down. She's beating them. She's got more points.
It warms my heart though to see her, and I'm just so happy that she's growing up with an appreciation for nature and the outdoors. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we had when the kids were younger, we used to live even further out into the woods. We lived out in Wellsford and surrounded by woods, and it was really great for the kids for their first 10 to 12 years to be out there, because when I was a kid, I grew up on a 200-acre hobby farm with woods and rivers and streams and ponds and you name it. And I literally would, in the morning during the summer, like in the summer break, I'd be out and I'd be gone all day long doing different things, building things, fishing, all kind of stuff. And honestly, sometimes you need a reminder to.
That's true.
To get back out there and do it again. And often it's through your kids, really. Like I know with us, it was like, let's do more stuff. Let's take them on little nature hikes. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's go to the beach. And, kids are do remind you about what it's like to be a kid and also to be out in the woods and be in nature. So it's good to see you doing that.
Yeah. I think there's I'm just speaking for myself, but I think there's also like a level of fear too for me as I get older. Like when you get out into the woods, there's a lot of self-reflection that can happen, a lot of things that can come up, a lot of it's like I call it like the shower time. I get a lot of my best ideas in the shower where I can't immediately execute them or write them down. So you got to get shower crayons, right, just so that you can write them all down. But anyways, I think it's one of those things like you sometimes, maybe not a plan, but you do have to almost be like just ready to have a safe in and out to make sure that you're prepared to go in there. Because I think a lot of times like people just want to get away, or they're going out on a canoe trip, or they're going out climbing or doing something, and they're really in a very interesting part of their life or in the part of the day. And I think we're experiencing success and tragedy sometimes in the same day, and it can be really interesting from a mental health perspective that we're doing all of these like hobbies and stuff too, I think it is coping as well. And I think it's, for me, getting out and flying kite, it gives me that time to just reflect and just to kind of get out. And, you're pulling on the tent. There's a little bit level of control. It's not just mundane where you're scrolling, there's something to it. And I think that kind of stuff is really important if you're, someone that's just, whether you have routine or you have a lot of chaos. I think like just getting outside, if there's that level of fear, even just small walks, just, trying to get yourself out for a coffee, it can be that, or you can go out and go rock climbing. That's fine too, right? Whatever your level is. And I think that's what the film's really reminded me of. So it was really like, again, like an honor to be chosen as like a juror for me personally. I don't know. I assume the same for you guys. Cause I've been working with you guys for a while, and I can tell like, obviously it was impactful, but I think, it's very easy to kind of see these things. It's like, oh, they're just jurors. They're picking films, and all right, cool. And this one wins. But even where it's at, if you're not aware or you haven't gotten your tickets, September 9th at Yip Cider. Yip Cider is a beautiful place. Just to talk again about how close things are in New Brunswick, Kingston, you can get there in 20, 25 minutes. And that's including the ferry ride, right? And it's beautiful over there. Yip Cider is completely beautiful. Their event space is stunning. You can get there also by boat, right? It's just a beautiful space. If you haven't been there, September 9th is your best opportunity. Am I a salesperson?
Cait,
sometimes.
Milberry marketing, folks. I love how you can weave in and out of like talking about, nature and connecting and being present, but also like weaving in the marketing part. It's
right.
Beautifully done.
Yip Cider, primary. If you're looking for wedding space or event space, call your guys at Yip Cider, right?
I'm still thinking about what you said about being in the shower and just having those moments of clarity. And I actually wrote this down in my notebook the other day. I'm like, being in the shower it's accidental mindfulness, right? There's nothing else you can do in the shower except wash your body. You're totally present, right? You're not distracted by a million different things. Guys, in the shower, I'm the most eloquent speaker in the world.
Oh my God. I'm
giving myself in the world TED Talks like every day in the shower. So it's so funny, but it translates, right, Cait? Like being in the forest, you're alone, you're in nature. You're totally, you're bathing in the world David's term, forest bathing, but it's something that I really value, and I'm really recognizing that, and I've become, you know, sort of obsessed with being in the forest and knowing how to survive, right? Like it's a survival is it's key, right? It's key to our survival. It's key to living. But I started to get into bushcraft, started to get into survival techniques. Like, what if I get lost out here? Can I make a fire? You know, can I find food? These types of things. So, yeah, nerding a bit about like survival and being in the woods. But yeah, it's the moments of clarity. I started watching this show called Alone. I don't know if you guys have saw it, but it's the best show in the world, right?
Oh, well, you learned so much.
So I don't know if you know this, but season 1, there's a guy who's a contestant or a survivalist on the show. He's from St. John. Okay, so he offers survival classes. I took one of his classes last year. So just me and him out in the forest, teaching me how to make fires, how to find water, how to build shelter, all this kind of stuff. And I would love to make a short film about that one day, surviving in the woods. You know, maybe.
Well, they always say, like, I wish they had taught me that in high school. Like, why aren't we watching Alone in high school and learning how to survive? We all want to get out of and fly the nest, but we have no clue how to start fires, how to get water, let alone how to maintain jobs. That's the kind of stuff that I'd be showing in the new school curriculum, is Jordan's film about survival. 1,000%. I'd learn more about surviving life probably watching that film than half the films I've seen.
Being alone in the forest for them is usually the key or the catalyst which makes them quit, right? It's being alone, being like omnipresent, like you are there, there's nothing else. That's so hard, and we never do that anymore. You know, we're always filling our, you know, moments of, you know, space with things. It's like there's a moment of quiet or peace or tranquility, and it's like, my phone, where's my phone? Where's my phone? You know, waiting for an elevator. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? It's like that. And we have to start to be mindful, man. It's killing us.
I think, yeah.
Like last week, I went for a kayak trip on the lake. I had my phone with me just to grab a shot, you know, because it's beautiful out on the lake. Came back, decided to go for a swim in my trunks, which my phone was in. It completely was totally in the moment. Forgot my phone was in my swim trunks.
Did it survive?
Went for a 10-minute swim with my phone in my trunks. Needless to say, the phone doesn't work the way it should anymore. So I had to get a new phone, but I had to dry it out too. And I agree with what you're saying. I didn't have a phone for like a day and a half. In one way, it was really good. And the other way, it really taught me how many times, like my brain, my life has kind of roots through my phone. It's like, oh, I wonder what the weather's going to be like. No, I don't have my phone. No, it can't go to my phone. And it's like, we do that. Now, there's a lot of advantages of that too, right? You know, my nature app, I'm capturing, I'm learning, what is this plant, you know, and I upload it and I see, and it keeps me in the moment because I'm looking at plants as maybe I wasn't before. But at the same time, we do rely on our technology so much, right? Interestingly, though, at the same time, some of the documentaries that we saw were also where they brought their technology into the woods or into the area, and they were filming some of that journey. So it's really finding that balance, right? Is using technology to maybe capture and maybe share what you're feeling or what you're experiencing with others to potentially inspire. Much like Alone. I'm sure one of the things that you like about Alone, I almost started watching the first episode the other day, but I figured I have to invest some time into it, but I did see it. Is probably because you get to know the people too, and you get to know a bit about them, and they get to know about themselves because they're out filming themselves with nothing but nature, right? Nothing but what they're trying to do, which is with a lot of the really good films we had watched, really were about people doing what they really love in nature, capturing that, who they are, and then sharing it with others to inspire them.
Yeah, we saw climbing films, we saw bike riding films, we saw paddling films. These types of outdoor sports in general, they tend to have like a cult following, right? Rock climbers, they're hardcore, like they're obsessed, and they meet another rock climber, they're like, I see you, they get it, right? So these types of sports, adventure sports, they bring us fully into the moment because your life depends on it, right? You can't be thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow when you're riding 100 miles an hour downhill down a rocky path, right? Or paddling. You don't want to flip over or fall off the side of a mountain. So yeah, you're almost forced to be in the moment fully. And that's where like we come alive. So I think that's why or how these adventure sports can become so, you just obsess over them. They're so much fun because you're in the moment. It's forced, but it's still good. It's good for our mental health.
Yeah, and I think too, like it all comes down to, I think like a common theme for me, whether it's like getting out into nature, just like very simply like getting to the ocean, going to the Irving Nature Park, let's say, or going out and setting a time to go to Timbertop with my friends, whatever those moments are. I think it all comes down to like mediation of moments and like what we're maybe going through personally. I think that that's why we choose to maybe do those things. And when we're out there, I think what happens with like the folks in Alone, or I know with myself, is I think like, oh, I should call like my grandmother and just like tell her that I love her today. Cause like you're having those moments of being mindful, and like your mind is still on overdrive. It's still super busy. So it's finding ways to categorize that in a way where you actually have time to slow down to give people that time. So I find it's like a mediation moment. And then it's also trying to find a way to compartmentalize when you're going to action calling that person and how you're going to be better with client work. And I think too, like whether it's, like the real hardcore sports or whatever it is, I think what ends up happening too, like for myself, is when you find something that you really like, I think that you either go in or you're all out. And I think that's like, whether it be roller skating or just like out flying some kites or the podcast, like whatever it is, I think a lot of people do that. They just go full in obsessed, or they half-ass it. And I used to say that when I was like teaching roller skating, like people would say, okay, well, what should I get for gear? And I would say, get the best gear, because if you cheap out now, right, you're only going to double invest, and you probably won't take it as seriously because you didn't invest as much. And two, you won't have the best stuff that actually protects your body and is the best for you if you end up being very good at what you're trying to do. So I think, it's a common theme of, mediate that time with yourself to get out and face the music a little bit, right? Like it's good to maybe drop your phone in the water once in a while. And, it's kind of like a wake up call. And, one thing on that, I think the only time people really leave their phone is in very stressful moments. And I say that maybe just that's myself, but I think if you have people that heavily rely on you and, you're like the Robin Hood in life, you never turn your phone off. But when there's a very stressful situation in which that gives you that time to turn it off, it's very freeing, and it gives you that chance to come back. And I know recently when we went up to, like a women's motorcycle event, and there was no service up there, and it was still like a work day and whatnot, but it was like, don't panic. Clients aren't going to rip my head off if I, don't get their posts up right away. We had a plan. We did it proactively. And it's just about, trying to give yourself that time to set it up for success so that you can enjoy yourself while you're out there, and maybe bring a notepad so that you can think about writing down to call Nan if you have the chance when you get out, right? So just for anyone listening, I think like, whether you're just watching, I know I watch a lot of adventure films, a lot of documentaries. I watch a lot of different content creators on YouTube who do a lot of things that I'll probably never get to experience. And I think that's really cool too. I think that's a great way to try to experience the world. And, no matter what stage you're at, if you are around on the 9th, you should definitely come and check out, the films that were selected. But, if you get outside, I think that's applause enough, right?
Say yes. Say yes to your friend when they ask you to go bouldering or rock climbing or paddling, whatever it is. Say yes, because you might be surprised how fun it is.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's been a new rule, actually, Jordan, for me this past few months. If a friend asks me, I really can't say no. So if somebody's like, do you want to go to the aquatic center? I'm just like, okay, right? But if it's more like me asking like friends, I'll give myself a little bit more. If they're like, no, I can't really tonight, I usually won't go. So now I'm trying to like set myself up for that time. So it's like, it's more successful for me selfishly. Right. Because I think that's important for like you said, being mindful for yourself and just giving that time back.
Yeah. Those are the best times though. When you say yes and it turns out to be super fun, you're like, I love that. I had a great time. Like maybe I'm not going to become hardcore and go back, but I actually did have a good time doing that.
Okay. Well, you just set yourself up, because I could say, okay, guys, come rock climbing with us this afternoon.
God. I'm so scared of heights. You guys, I was so sweaty watching all of the films. I literally had I had a hanky, I think, just for my sweaty hands. I was so scared watching half of those films, like the heights. Whew. Like I would try Timbertop maybe again, but I don't know if I could do the highest ones. But we'll see. We'll say heck no to fear, and we'll try it again.
Totally. I'm climbing Turtle Mountain this weekend. I think that's the plan.
That's good.
My brother's in town visiting, so I got to show him what New Brunswick's all about.
Yeah.
I think that's it's
a nice hike, especially in the fall too. because all the colors are changing. There's a lot of lovely leaves out there too. Yeah. And I mean, I've enjoyed watching the tribe called Owens, the Owens, for the last couple of weeks. And you have similar to what these films that we saw. You're telling stories. You're trying new things. You're seeing the world with new eyes because you're here and you're taking those invites to try and meet new people and try new trails and introduce that to your daughter as well and to your wife. I mean, I think it's amazing that what you've been doing, and I think it's neat also for locals to be seeing it through your eyes as well.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And I say that before I knew Jordan. I know that when I was working in the mayor's office, he was a giant fan of yours and just would rave about your content. And we would spend a lot of our Monday morning catch-ups watching like your new videos and just talking. Awesome. And he got a lot of new gear. Honestly, Jordan, like Dom went out, he can attest to this and just it was like, I love just the way that you go out and you do it and you're bringing people along for the ride. And I think that's a big part of whether that's like filmmaking or just content creating, whatever that like people just want to come along for the ride, right? Sometimes people just want to watch a reality show on Netflix. Sometimes people want to watch people climb things in Iceland, right? And it's giving them that opportunity. And I think, New Brunswick's a really great place. And I've lived here my whole life. And maybe I'm biased to say that, but I've worked and become friends and family with so many people that have moved to here that say the same thing. So I think a big part for me that I took away from the films is really learning to enjoy the province a little bit more and maybe exploring some other ones as well that I didn't think of in that light. So that was a big takeaway for me. I was really excited for that. So we've got some plans to go down to Halifax in actually this month. It's already August. Wow, that happened quickly. Just going down and seeing some concerts, going to try surfing. We're going back out to California in September. We're going to try some more surfing, do some hiking. So we're going to try a few new things this year. That's the plan. So we'll have to report back on episode 2.
Yeah, nice. That sounds amazing. And yeah, St. John it's been great to us so far. It's funny you guys say that because it's very natural, right? We become sort of not jaded, but we lose gratitude for where we are and where we grew up. I grew up in Niagara Falls, okay? Like people come from all over the world to see those falls. And like as a 17-year-old and you've seen those falls a million times, you're like, guys, what are you doing here? The city sucks. But going back there now, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. This is awesome. I get it now. So it's almost a daily practice of gratitude. Like, wow, look around. How beautiful is this place? And don't get sucked into the people who are they're going to find ways to complain about everything, no matter what situation they are in life. Stay away from those people.
I'll be fully accountable. I've totally made fun of tourists walking to see Reversing Falls at some point in my life. I have. And I've been like, what are they going to see? But then after learning about like the insane drop off down in the Reversing Falls, learning about some of the history there, learning about how they're created, I understand. And I felt so silly I didn't, Nelson them where I'm like, like out the window, but I was just like, wonder what they're going to see, some swirly whirlies, but now it's like, I think it's just appreciating nature and whatever it is, even if it's just a nice scene or a river you've never seen before, or just a dirt road out in St. Martin's you've never been down before. I think that that's really special. And having grown up in all different places like St. Martin's, Deer Island, Uptown St. John, it really is only ever 30 minutes away from things that are like that. So we're very, very lucky, to have that experience. So I don't not take opportunities to tell people to come here. I do it as often as I possibly can. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like this whole film festival, it's the synergizing, the merging of like the outdoor, but then arts and culture, right? Yeah. It's film, it's art plus outdoors. It's like the perfect immersion. And moving to St. John, I didn't know there was an arts and culture scene. But after moving here, I met so many amazing artists, so many filmmakers. The filmmaking crew is out here. It's so awesome. I met, so many shout out to like Hemmings House, right?
Yeah.
John
I'm curious. I don't know if Carlie can tell us, but we'll see if we can get some tea on this. Carlie, how many submissions were there this year for the Outdoor Film Festival?
There were 65.
65. Like that's a pretty good number, I think. Like that's a lot of content to watch and go through and, deliberate over. But I think I would probably see more, the more people and the more we talk about these opportunities. I mean, somebody told me once, the best camera is the camera you have on you.
Yep.
Right. So
Our phones again.
Yeah.
and it just depends, right? And if it is, then it's taking that time to maybe figure out, maybe it's a quick film about your daughter discovering flowers, and maybe that's the film that, you know, just really syncs with people and gets them out and like exploring things. Maybe it's not seeing the domes for the first time or reverse it, like, you know what I mean? I think it's hard to choose what people can resonate with, but I think, you know, just getting out there and really trying to create, I think we might see a lot more in 2024. You might need a lot more eyeballs to watch those films. So if you guys are interested and you want to, you know, like reach out, there's a lot of opportunities from like, you know, becoming sponsors, submitting your films, you know, just being part of like the panel like we are. And I think it's just a great way to also meet other creatives. I know it's been great being able to talk and hang out with you guys and not just seeing your stuff online and you know, just seeing you guys uptown when we're in passing. I think it's great to be able to connect and see what each other is actually working on and be able to, you know, bring that energy back to the community. So, you know, if you're listening or watching, I mean, I really hope to see you guys, you know, at Yip Cider. And yeah, thank you guys so much for catching up. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you to Carlie for setting this up. Really appreciate it. And, you know, for allowing us, you know, the exclusive opportunity to see these films. I mean, I felt pretty cool, honestly. I still feel very cool about it. So again, if you haven't got your tickets, it's September 9th at Yip Cider. Get them now. I think there's only a few left. I mean, we're in August. I didn't even know what month it was. So it just shows you how quick we're flying by. So thank you all for listening and for watching, and get outside.
Get outside.
Get outside. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.